Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Bettina. How are you today?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Eric. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing really nice. Yeah, I've had a great day today so far. I just had a really nice conversation with a friend, and we're kind of talking about life and religion, and growing up in it, and where religion stands nowadays, and when you kind of read in this self-help, the spiritualistic books and lifestyle, how important spirituality is. Um, and just even looking at the numbers in the church and an organized religion, how at least in this society, people are kind of moving away from it, and what it is that might not be so attractive about what the things that you learn in spirituality, like the ego and gratification and getting to somewhere where something is perfect, and how that plays with religion, and how religion was a conduit for spirituality before, but beyond just the simple uh, facts that are stated in some of the monotheistic holy books. Some of the deeper and guiding principles of spirituality start to negate itself as well. And I had a really interesting conversation about that. And I know that we talk more about religion, I think, off air than we do on, because it's kind of a sensitive topic for some viewers, I'm sure, because it all depends on your belief systems, and these are some of the things that we can hold most dear, and most we can clutch onto most greatly, and can really put us off. But I think it's something that can be talked about in a way that isn't offensive, and perhaps maybe ask a few questions that maybe we can get more out of our spirituality, um, if that is actually what we're going, or we're trying to use religion for, or trying to feel spiritual without the use of a religion. And sometimes it can get really difficult, because I don't think we have enough words and language to really convey what it is that we're after in this realm of life.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like I'm grinning and I'm trying not to laugh because it's funny that you should bring up religion today and holy books, monotheistic holy books, et cetera, because Peter's been doing some, well, he's doing some renovations for someone, and this guy has tons and tons of books. So but once a week he comes home with a different book he's borrowed from this guy. And today he came home with this book called, shoot, what is it called? Something about the Bible, the Holy Bible, the best goddamn book or something. But this guy has written about the Bible, and the one that Peter brought was the Old Testament. And he's written about the Bible in plain English, but in a way that questions everything that the Bible has said from creation to, well, I think the end of the Old Testament. And I was reading it out loud while we had our lunch today, and we were cracking up. But because it's very irreverent. So I
Right.
mean, I'm sure, like you said, we don't want to offend people, but I'm sure it would offend people who are very religious and who the Bible is, very much the mainstay of their belief system. But and having been raised Catholic, um, it was really interesting because I was reading it and I was laughing my head off because it's so funny. And it's written like the guy's having a conversation with you, and it's like, so anyhow, this and this and this happened, but never really explains why that happened, or, you know, lots of sort of discrepancies that he has found, and his sort of humorous take on it. And I thought, we were saying, like certain people that we know would, there's no way we could show them this book because it would be very offensive to them. But on the other hand, if we see God as what, from the perspective that I have of God, and that I have always had since I remember, even being a small child sitting in religion classes in a Catholic school, and listening to the teacher and just sitting there and in my mind going, That is not the God I know. This judging, ruling with an iron fist and judging you on the last day, and you're going to go to hell if you created a mortal sin, and da 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 da. And from my perspective, I can read this book that we were reading today and really have a sense of humor about it. And I really believe God has a sense of humor, and I really believe that that God, as I see him or her, I don't even know how to them, is all things. They are the sense of humor and the seriousness and the prayer and the irreverence and the offensiveness and the kindness all rolled into one, because that is our journey here, is being able to be at peace and okay with all of those things, all the parts of being human. And so whether it's religion or non-religion, whether it's spirituality, that people, the word spirituality is a really tough word, because it can be used as with respect to being religious, or it can be used with respect to being non-religious, and but it's all those things. And so I find it really interesting, and to have a conversation about one being bad and the other one being good, whichever way you roll. I don't see the point, because everybody takes this journey in a different way, and everybody experiences their enlightenment, if you want to call it that. The road to their enlightenment is experienced in different ways, whether it starts with religion and ends with a different type of non-religious spirituality. Fine. If it's all the way with religion, that's fine. There's a priest, a Franciscan, by the name of Father Richard Rohr, and he is very much a teacher of the kind of things that the Course in Miracles teaches, and centering prayer, and he's really big on the Enneagram, as a matter of fact. But his teachings are that deeper sense of what I believe religion hasn't been able to go to, because of what people will accept. And I think religion gives people at a certain place in their lives something that they can accept, and something that they can live by, and something that they can learn from. Whereas things like A Course in Miracles, or more spiritual teachings and more Eastern type, like Buddhism and those types of religions, if you want to call them that, teach other people at the level at which they are ready to understand and absorb and accept. So it's all part of the journey for me. I really believe it's all part of the journey. And I think if someone were to say, oh, what religion are you? I think I'd still say I'm Catholic, because in some way I am. I just don't practice in the way that the church wants me to practice. But I mean, as a role that I play, then yeah, I guess I can be a Catholic, or I can be not a Catholic. I could be a woman, or I can just be a person. It's not an identity. It's just a role you play, a part of your journey, a path that you've taken. And it all leads to the same place in the end, whatever that is, and whatever you believe it to be.
Yeah, almost to my point earlier about how there's not enough words. Having that label is like, I guess I'm a Catholic. I guess I'm Anglican. Yeah, we haven't yet developed enough words, and it's funny because I don't know how many words there are in the English language. insert joke here about Trump knowing 200 of them or something. but The English language is fantastic. It's stupendous. It's wonderful. um, yeah, like three-quarters of them are adjectives, favorable adjectives.
Yes. Oh
But
gosh.
um, there's so many, and then you can run up to a place in life, and sometimes learning and the self-help field, it's just getting the new words in, getting the vernacular down. It just provides so much more clarity into concepts that we want to talk about. And like there should be a word, for something in between, or for places along the spectrum. But there doesn't seem to be. And so we kind of, the the effect of tripping over our words almost naturally makes us question what exactly it is that we feel. Because what really fascinated me early on in my education was that people with greater vocabularies can feel a greater range of emotions, and can pinpoint where they feel. If you just know what happy, sad, and angry is, you're in that space, and you can't communicate your frustration, or your resentment, or any of these other places along the spectrum of the triad there. Um, you know, I think it's, I also was watching some George Carlin last night, and
I love him.
he's so terrific on his take on religion, and how it's always this middleman, in the monotheistic religions. There's always some sort of prophet, to align yourself, tangentially, to God. And it just hasn't been my experience. Much to you speaking about when you're a kid, it's like, that's not the God that I know. Um, it doesn't seem to make much sense that there's all this judgment. It doesn't seem to make much sense that there's some sort of demigod conduit that you have to go through, in order to understand your godliness, and to always keep you chasing. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on most on this episode, was that, much like the ego is sneaky. We go into spirituality to try to get a better handle, or to have a better relationship with our ego. And it's a very sneaky thing, and it's how subcultures are developed. And, if one quote I really like is that, if we're in desperate pursuit of something far away and a long time coming, each moment we live is another moment spent waiting for some elusive promise of enough. And that can go for religion, or that can go for our lives, thinking that we need to have a certain thing in place, which we talk about all the time in the show. And each moment that we live is spent waiting to finally feel okay. And isn't that really the promise of heaven and hell? Is that if we do all these things in succession, we're not perfect now. In fact, we were born in sin, as Christianity will teach. But if we do these things in succession, then maybe someday after we die, we can finally, find absolution, and be in heaven and sit at the right hand of the Father. And it's you can believe it as being true, but you can also see it as a manifestation of ego, and very prominently, in a story that will let you chase your entire life without ever arriving. And in my experience, or in my judgment, that's not a life particularly well lived. That's rarely showing up in the moment and accepting our godliness as we are. That we are, at the very least, the creators of our own experience.
Yeah. Well, I think acceptance is the biggest word. Speaking of words, I think acceptance is one of the biggest things that we have trouble dealing with, because, this moment is never good enough. I mean, the ego will never find peace, because it's not looking for peace. And loving presence doesn't really care one way or the other. So, but the ego will always send us on a wild goose chase. The ego it's always the promise of, and never the delivering of. If you do, like you said, if you do this, you'll be happy, and then you do it, and the ego says, "What'd you go and do that for? That was stupid." Or well, it's not quite enough. You need this. So it is very much the promise. And there's no acceptance of what is in this moment. And it's interesting because I'm kind of in that place of dealing with that myself. And I probably have been for forever now. but um, but last year it was, with respect to money, it's like what we have is enough. What we want is not going to make us any happier than we are right in this moment. It's just that promise of, that more is going to make us happier, and it doesn't. It pulls us away from our peace at every turn. Um, and I came to terms with that whole money thing, and wanting more and wanting to be able to buy clothes and go on trips and have nice things, and now like things are not really important to me that much. Okay, the clothes thing, I'm still kind of I'm a woman. um, um, but I'm dealing with that too. It's like I know, yes, I would like to be able to go out and buy really nice clothes, but I know it's not going to make me happier, so I don't chase it in the same way. But now it's kind of like I want to feel healthier. Right now I'm having, a few issues, and I want to feel healthier. And it's that whole thing about, well, there's nothing wrong with this moment, but the ego's always finding something wrong with this moment and always wanting you to move to the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. I mean, the 7 Enneagram is the perfect example of that. It's like always keep one step ahead of the present moment because there's such promise in the future.
Yeah.
And the future does not exist. And when you get to the future, it is now the present, and you will, guaranteed, if you follow the ego, you will not be any happier in that present moment, and you will always be in constant motion and chase and not being good enough. So can you sit in this moment then and have it be enough? Whether you've got a pain in your back or in your gut, or you don't have money in the bank or whatever it is, can you be at peace in this moment just as it is? That's tough, really, really, really tough lesson. And in fact, I was just doing the daily lessons for my YouTube channel, not this one, my other YouTube channel. And the lesson that I just finished doing was I could see peace instead of this. So it's all about training yourself to see things through the right mind or loving presence instead of seeing them through the wrong mind or the ego. And the right mind is the mind where peace exists, and the wrong mind is the mind where suffering exists. Right mind is heaven, wrong mind is hell. Which do you choose? And we always want to choose the hell. It's like we revel in it. It's like we immerse ourselves in it, because being the victim is like some badge of honor that we hold. Look at me, how much I suffer. I'm such a martyr, and I take all this crap from people, and look at me, look how great I am because I do this. And it's like, oh my God, you know how easy it would be just to say I could see peace instead of this, and be, like forever happy. It's I just but yet we still do it. And I don't discount myself from that we. When I say we still do it, I mean I still do it too. And I don't think it's going to matter how many years I'm on this path and how much knowledge I have or how many words there are to describe it. I will always fall for the ego's dangling carrot, because that's the human experience. And the only difference between me and maybe some other people who are, constantly in it is that when it happens, I may be a bit more aware. I may catch myself. I may be able to pull myself out of it a lot quicker than somebody else might. That's the only difference. It still happens. It's not like, people think this journey of spirituality is about never, never having to deal with the ego, never feeling bad, always feeling happy and wonderful. And no, it's not. It's about being okay and being in acceptance of even the crap, right? And being like, okay, this crappy, shitty thing happened. And you know what? I could see peace instead of this.
Yeah.
And that's so far this year, that's been one of my favorite lessons. And how easy it is when you get into a very distressing place, whether you're doing the Course in Miracles or not, is just to remember that phrase. I could see peace instead of this.
Yeah.
But there's that pull, that real desire to wallow in the muck and mire of ego hell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's hilarious. That line was awesome, and because every day you interact with people, you're pretty certain that every day you're going to have somebody tell you about some look at all this crap I take from people. Like it's such a good line, and I can only imagine it would be an unloving way to respond in a way, but it'd be really comical. Somebody tells you about some interaction and some place where they were wronged, or how could this other person say something like this, and then they went and then they said, and it's like, wow, yeah, you take a lot of crap from people. Like, and it really is just what we focus on. It's so funny because it is so accessible. Everything can be okay in this moment. If we fully bring our presence to the right here and now, everything is blissful. And then it's that allure, right? And that low hanging, that dangling of the carrot by the ego. It's like, oh, but the promise of the future can be even better, and there's no way to get better. And then it'll take you on some convoluted course about finding a problem, and just like you said, the ego's not going to find peace. That's not the ego's job. That's not what it's there for. That's not what it's equipped to do. It's not going to find peace because it's not looking for peace. It's looking for problems, and it's looking for some way for you to emerge on top of the problem, with the promise that when you do, you're going to feel, oh, it's going to be glorious. It's going to pick one of your Trump adjectives. It's going to be stupendous. It's going to be the greatest. And then you get there, and then the ego's always got something waiting for you again. And it's always around the corner. It's always a couple steps ahead of you. And we sacrifice the feeling of that peace, of that okayness, that heaven. If you need to say it like that, it's accessible, but we trade it away for this promise, and we literally do it like tens of thousands of times in a lifetime. We keep trading away the perfect present moment for some promise of an even greater future moment, and you can just see it in what you talked about with health. We're always trying to do something better about our health. Always have some issue going on. Sometimes it's legitimately greater than others. But when we're 87 and in a long-term care facility, we'll look back at 61 or 42 or 36 and be like, oh man, we had no problems. We had no problems. But it's all I can think about. I wake up, it's like, today I'm going to have salad for lunch. Today I'm not going to go and have my coffee and muffin to start my day. I'm going to eat granola instead. And we're constantly always thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to do it better. Oh, I'm going to make sure I go to the gym after work. I'm going to I really want to work on my problem area of my thighs. I'm going to work on that. An 87-year-old you, which you'll get to, God willing, whatever, is going to look back and just
laugh,
facepalm.
Yeah.
Like, you dummy. You worried so much. And of course, we should always strive to get better. But to the extent that we cause ourselves to suffer for it is silly.
Yeah. Okay. So That reminded me of my little story from today. So I have two pairs of jeans. They're exactly the same, except one pair is smaller than the other.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I've put on a bit of weight, which my cousin so kindly reminds me, we're not young anymore, and that happens over time. And I would just refuse to refuse to accept this. So of course I'm like totally listening to my ego. So this morning I got showered and I pulled my jeans out of the closet and I went to put them on. And I go, what the heck? These aren't going up very easily. Anyways, I didn't think anything else. I like pulled them up and I did them up. And I thought, oh dear God, they are so tight. And I thought, what the hell happened overnight? Well, I probably haven't worn those jeans. It's been a couple of days. It's like, oh my God, what happened over the last 3 days? And then I realized, oh my God, I pulled out the wrong jeans. But that whole time it was like, oh my God, I have to lose weight. There's something wrong here. Like this can't be happening.
I'm exploding.
I know. I'm going to this wedding in a couple of weeks. And I had the dress I wore last year to a wedding, and I'm wearing that dress. And if it doesn't fit me, I'm like freaking out. It's like, all because of this stupid pair of smaller jeans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, I was no different than I was 3 days ago. I just put on a different pair of jeans, and it changed the whole story in my head about what was going on. Yeah. It was like I was fine being the weight I was at until I put those small jeans on, and then suddenly there's the ego pulling me out of my piece again. Yeah. And I had my lunch, and after my lunch, I was like, oh no, I can't deal. I have to go change. So I put my bigger jeans on, and I'm quite happy now.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous how we let certain things like that just totally take us into hell.
Yeah, that's such a relatable story. Thank you for sharing.
I know, right?
Even today, I went out for coffee earlier, and yeah, I mean, even as a male, I tried a shirt on. I was like, no, not today. And then you put something else on, you feel a little bit more comfortable in, and it's hilarious. But yeah. And then we sit in those moments, and like we've had shows just recently in the past just talking about how you can be like mean to yourself, how you're not your own best friend, and those thoughts are so easy to have in those moments, and we can anchor ourselves back when we take the time, and we can laugh at it, but you still get triggered in all these big and small ways, and you realize the processes that are going on inside of us, and how quickly we can be triggered into being mean, and we lose our self-worth so quickly, up and down, up and down, up and down throughout the day. And when we can point them out, and when we can recognize them, and we can share these honest stories with ourselves and with others, we can have a lot more just compassion, and just to feel better about the funny way that we're all human, and these are the problems for today. They're so amplified, and then 87-year-old us just looks back with I don't know, what would be the word there? It would just be, this is that quiet shaking of the head, like
that's exactly
that word, that word, whatever this is, just oh my goodness.
It's like if you'd only known.
you had the world's potential at your fingertips, and this is the crap you occupied yourself with.
Yeah. And I think that, that whole idea of, how we go through our lives saying, when this happens, then I can go and do this. Like when I retire, I can go and travel, or when I have enough money, I'll go take this class, or when this happens, I'll go and do this. And then next thing you know, 5 years have gone by and you haven't done any of it. You've just sat around waiting for the perfect moment. Yeah. Why are you waiting for the perfect moment? Think of all the great little experiences in life, little or big experiences in life that you're missing out on because you say, well, I have to wait till this happens before I can do this, because that's just how it is. No, it's not.
I had this conversation. I know we're trespassing on past 30 minutes here, but I had this conversation with this woman 2 days ago. I don't know if she watches, but
It wasn't me, was it? Because I saw
no.
you two
Oh
days
yeah,
ago.
you saw. Yeah, we saw each other 2 days ago too. No, it wasn't you. Wouldn't that be funny if I preface a story and then made you listen to the
And
story
then me,
about you?
hmm.
No, she said to me, she goes, when I lose these last 30 pounds, then I'm going to seek a divorce.
Oh,
Like
well, I know, but here's the
it's the
thing:
same
we all
thing,
do that. We all do that. It's like I'm not going to buy any new clothes until I lose 10 pounds.
right? Yeah, exactly.
You're
It's all the
wearing
same.
rags. You're wearing rags and look like crap
Yeah,
because you don't want to look like crap. I mean, does that make sense? Of
yeah,
course it doesn't. But that's a perfect example of how the ego just takes things and just like that game you used to play on when you're a kid and you're skating, crack the whip. It just whips, it's just whipping you around and you're just like following along going, oh, this is a great ride.
yeah,
It's not,
yeah,
it's that all, oh, I love to suffer. I mean,
yeah.
there's no explanation for it except that there must be some part of you that loves to suffer. And as
Yes,
much as we say, oh, I just want some peace of mind, we don't want to give up what we need to give up to get it. And that is the suffering. So, I mean, it's just, when you put it into words and you talk about it in our head, it seems all logical and makes sense. And then when the words come out or somebody else, you hear them in somebody else's words, you're going like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And yet it's going on in your mind all the time,
that's
right?
right.
Um, yeah, it's a crazy cycle. And the big test is, can you find peace even in that discord? Can you love yourself even in that, I'm not gonna buy any new clothes till I lose 10 pounds, or I'm too fat, or this is happening or that is happening. Can you still love yourself through all of that? Oh my God, I said something so stupid. Or you go and you spend time with someone and then afterwards you're running the whole conversation in your head, making sure that you didn't say anything stupid. What's the point? It's done, it's said. It's not like you can go back in time and do it again.
Yeah,
Not so far anyway.
yeah,
um and who cares? It's over.
yeah.
It's one of my favorite lines from The Lion King was, it's in the past. It's like, it's in the past. It's, who cares, right? But it's true. It's like we're always living in the past or the future. We're never happy to live in this moment because something always has to be happening. There always has to be this movement forward or upward, or, you always have to be search for more happy or more thinner or happier or taller or straight hair or curly hair, or whatever it is you don't have, that's what you want.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
me, I have a straightening iron so I can have curly or straight hair. I'm good.
You know, yeah. And the thing is, we have those, we're running back conversations we had, or, maybe we did something dumb, or we didn't make the best impression, or we said something stupid. Um, we roll that back in our heads, and we can really chastise ourselves. And, the beauty of letting it go and laughing at yourself, and just laugh like, that was dumb. That I shouldn't have said that. Maybe next time I won't say that, or if I can catch myself, that'd be great. But just being able to laugh at yourself, because what truly doesn't matter is necessarily the words that you say to somebody. Words do matter, but what matters more is the essence and the energy that you bring to the interaction. And if you are of the mind where you're constantly reevaluating things that you said and the way that where you think you came off, and how did they take something you said, a real great way to iron that over and to make good impression is just to come with good energy. And you're going to get good energy by laughing at yourself. You're going to get good, light, hang out, have fun energy. by being able to let it go and laugh at yourself. And the more that we beat ourselves up, actually, is the more we spiral downwards, and we create more dis-ease in our relationships, and in a relationship with ourselves, and then of course with the relationship with others.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
We're past the end of our show, and so Bettina, if you would finish us off with a meditation to send us off into our day, I think that'd be fantastic, a way to that self-compassion and forgiveness. I think that'd be a great way to finish.
I certainly will, because I'm wearing my comfy pants.
That's right.
I don't feel uncomfortable. I had to say that. That's correct. That's hilarious. Okay. It's my hilarious story for the week.
Yeah. Doing your guided meditation.
Sometimes I almost like when those things happen, because I love sharing
Yeah,
a funny story, and it's
exactly.
like, oh yeah, this totally has to be shared. Anyway, let's settle down, people. Okay. So let's do a meditation. Let's close our eyes and take a deep breath and breathe fully into this life, messy as it is, with all its bumps and hiccups and missteps and everything that happens in any given moment. And let's breathe into it. And let's be totally okay with it. And ourselves in every aspect of who we are and how we interact in the world, and the things we share, and the silly things we do. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's be okay with the extra 5 pounds or 50 pounds. Let's be okay with the straight hair or the curly hair, or the shirt or the pants that don't fit. Let's love ourselves for every fiber of our being, whether it's at peace or in turmoil, because peace is in the very present moment, in accepting what is here in front of us right now. And it is in this acceptance that we're able to find peace. It's in this stopping and standing in the stillness where the chase is over, and we know that all is well in our world, right here, right now. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes and bring yourself back to the world.
Yeah, I like the premise of that being okay. And yeah, that's good. Stopping the chase.
Yeah.
If but just for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those moments become hours, and those hours, but we have to start. We have to do it. We can't keep saying one day I will do that. Again, it's that when this happens, then I can be peaceful. No, be peaceful now.
Yeah.
Why wait till spring? Do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it from the inside out. Yeah. No, that was great. That's just what I needed to hear today. Thank you, Bettina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you all again next week.
Have a great week, everyone.